You're listening to the 108 Days of Chanting podcast, a show where we aim to understand who we really are so we can more effectively move towards what we want. My name is Chaitanya Das, and I'm a husband, a father, and an inspiring devotee, best known for not being known at all. I'm sitting down with interesting people to talk about their story, the lessons they've learned, and what it really means to be happy. All right, and we are live. Hey, what's up, everyone? Chaitanya Das here, and today I'm joined by my good friend Narasimha Das. How are you doing, Nash?
Hare Krishna, how's everyone going?
I'm doing well, man. I'm doing well. Thank you for joining me. I have my eyes here and my eyes here, and sometimes looking at the camera. So if I look a little weird, that's what it is. Nash, thank you for joining me. I'm excited about talking to you. I wanted to hear all about the Navadwip men's retreat that you kind of envisioned. You came up with that idea, right? Something that was born in your heart, and you got with a few devotees and got it done, right?
Yeah, it was an interesting thing. Srimati Shamradini, she spent some time in Miami. I guess I should just backtrack a little bit, so I'll just share a little bit about who I am,
Sure.
so people understand who they're talking to,
Please.
real quick.
Please.
Narasimha Das is my name, disciple of Srila Bhaktivinoda Narayan Goswami Maharaj, Srila Gurudev. And I moved to Miami December 2019, began starting a weekly Bhagavad Gita class May of 2020.
Mm-hmm.
And from there, the Sangha has been sort of becoming more and more energetic, more and more camaraderie and growth and development of a familial vibe. So Srimati Shamradini, somehow or other, we were blessed to have her for 3 months staying in South Florida.
Nice.
During that time, she did like a spontaneous women's retreat, and like 40 or 50 women ended up coming. And they did on this beautiful island, North Captiva Island, which is right off the coast of Fort Myers. And when I saw they were doing that, I was joking, oh, could I come be your cook? Anything I can do? And they're like, no, women only. So then I was thinking, oh, we should do men only retreat. And so that idea was born in my heart at that time. And by the kind donations and generosity of devotees like Anuragini Devidasi, who has a property on that island, we were able to pull off this big new Navadvip men's retreat from May 12th through 18th of 2021. And we were able to celebrate Akshaya Tritiya. During that time, we had 3 sannyasis, Shripad Abhidip Maharaj, Shripad Bhagavat Maharaj, and Shripad Siddhanta Maharaj. So it was a really awesome experience.
You were able to celebrate what? Say the name in Sanskrit and the name in English.
Akshaya Tritiya is a very auspicious day to start all new projects.
Nice.
And so we celebrate that on the island. And Shripad Siddhanta Maharaj did a fire yagya, or fire ceremony, where we did these offerings and prayers in order to set intention for good fortune in the coming year.
Nice.
And we joked afterwards, now all this island belongs to us because we've done this auspicious.
That's awesome. New Navadvip. I love
Yeah,
it. I love it. So it's something that you're envisioning that will happen every single year.
Yeah, some manifestation or form every year would be nice. The camaraderie that was built. I have the festival shirt here. I'll stand a little bit so people can see.
Nice. It's merging with the background a little bit, but yeah.
It says Kirtan Harikatha Brotherhood. And so the idea of the festival was that we're building relationship, and we were able to have men from all over the country, different sanghas. From New York, we had devotees like Rasik Mahaprabhu and Prem Pradeep from Bhaktabandav. We had devotees from Austin like Jagadish and Jagovinda, devotees from Badger, another Jagovinda, devotees from Hawaii like Dayanidhi Prabhu and Ishwara Jivan, Sripad Bhagavat Maharaj coming from Houston, Sripad Abhidip Maharaj coming from everywhere.
Nice.
Sripad Maharaj somehow or other making it back into the United States and able to come to this retreat as well. So we had such an array. It wasn't just a Florida like boys retreat, but it was men from all over the United States and even internationally.
That's awesome. That's awesome, man. So 10 days, huh?
It was a 7-day retreat. I was there for like 10 or 11 days because I was there a little early, a little after.
Getting everything ready. And then closing everything.
Yeah, you don't think about the project and the endeavor and everything, and all of a sudden, like, you're in it and it's happening. You're like, oh, and I have to do this, and I have to do that, and I have to handle this, and I have to handle that, and so many things that one maybe could plan for, but in general, the planning has to be that you plan for the unplanned, and you just have to, in a lot of cases for events like this, be very effective reactively, because you never know exactly what's going to happen. So, like, we had to do impromptu, like, run to the mainland on a boat and pick up more flowers, because it was like one day left and we're out of flowers to make a garlands for the sannyasis. So even the final day, we have to honor with garlands. So like this sort of juggling. And we had workshops. So it wasn't just like come to the beach and have a vacation. But there was a morning full, Mangal Arti every morning, that a morning program with morning Srimad Bhagavatam Katha. And then we would have a breakfast and then a mid-morning workshop where we had things like, what was one of the workshops? Going Beyond Nirvana by Param Gurudev. Workshop on that topic. Workshops, physical workshops where we did like Qigong and Muay Thai, but also like mental stuff, like diving in depth into the different layers and secrets found in the Vaishnava calendar, or how Ayurveda is integrated in Bhakti, or the importance of tilak, or the importance of attentive japa, or Bhakti basics, and looking at Archan Seva, looking at Mridanga and Kartal basics, looking at singing in bhajans. So all these types of workshops were happening for mid-morning and mid-afternoon. And then, of course, there was time scheduled at the beach. We had one day that was like a picnic day. We made these burritos. We brought, nice quality potato chips, made a drink, and we went to the beach. And the boys, they were chicken fighting, everyone on each other's shoulders and fighting in the water.
Yeah.
I'm sure the women's retreat didn't have any of that. That was something.
They just didn't share. I don't know. I have no idea. I'm just joking. Boys will be boys. It's always like that.
Yeah, I did one picture I shared of we all had our burritos like holding to the sky, and and I posted that picture, Beach Boys burrito.
Nice. Yes, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So, all right, 7 days retreat, a lot of workshop. Talk a little bit about each specific. Maybe you won't be able to cover all of them, but each specific or the most important that you found. The workshops specifically, and what was the most profound, anything about specific about the workshops and the value that it brought to the group from your perspective.
One thing I will say, it was a real treat. We had devotees that couldn't come, that had desire to be there, and so I was able to coordinate doing Zoom workshops.
Nice.
Zoom has been like huge impact in the past year with the pandemic. So
for everybody,
I had an account open with Zoom, and I was able to do a workshop. And these were some of the most impactful workshops actually on Zoom. One was Budhara Prabhu in England, and he did a workshop on astrology in Bhakti, like how to view astrology from a Bhakti and Krishna conscious perspective, how to understand its influences on you, how to understand the influence from a karmic perspective versus when you're doing bhakti, how you're not influenced, you're not affected. So it's really nice, and a lot of devotees were inspired by that. A few of them actually reached out to him. They want to do now, get readings from him and stuff like that. Because when you're a serious bhakti yoga practitioner, then when you study these other things that are not pure bhakti, but you can find a way that they can be utilized and integrated in such a way that they bring value. But everything is still centered on Anyabilashita Shunyam, that pure bhakti.
Yes. I think
So
I
really,
would be interested in hearing, I would be interested in that one, because I don't know if you know my position in astrology. I believe in the science. I think we talked about it. I believe in the science. I just believe that virtually everybody, there's no condition sold. They'll see something wrong. We see a lot of our things. Anyways, but I would be interested in hearing something, because I agree with everything you said. But I think the operative word there is when you're a serious practitioner, right? A serious bhakti practitioner. And that's absolutely, I agree that for someone that is seriously, that is looking to serve Guru Krishna, I would definitely, if it is that person's desire to find more ways, to get more clarity, I think that's a good word to say, to find more clarity on their journey, so to find out how they can be of more service to Guru Krishna, I'm all for it. And I think it's great.
Yeah, absolutely. And I actually, the Zoom ones are recorded. So anyone who does want a recording after this, I can share Buddhar's, as well as the next person I'm going to mention is Madhukar Prabhu, who many of your viewers may or may not know him, but he's one of my godbrothers, brahmachari in India. He's been in India, I think, besides renewing a visa for the past decade or more. And he recently started a WhatsApp and Telegram group around memorization of shlokas. And so we had one workshop where he was doing a Zoom discussing the importance of memorizing shlokas and the process to begin sort of programming the mind to be able to do that. And that was a really well-received workshop as well. And it was really sweet to have him participate from India. So Vidar Prabhu was in England, and we timed the Zoom there. Then Madhukar Prabhu in India, and we timed the Zoom there.
That's amazing.
That was really nice. Then we also had one Zoom with a Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Alachua, who's a very senior Prabhupada disciple.
Yes.
He talked a lot of times with Prabhupada disciples, especially personalities like him, who've been around since the very beginning. People keep coming and they want to know, tell me about Prabhupada's pastimes. Tell me about different pastimes of Prabhupada.
Yes.
But for personalities like him, personalities like Srimati Shamrai Didi, they have a hankering to preach the philosophy. And so they don't want to have to tell stories about themselves with Prabhupada. They want to talk about what they learned from Prabhupada. And so it was nice to set up a Zoom where he could talk about realizations coming from the teachings of Prabhupada.
That's so true. I love that.
This is actually another point we have to think about in our engagement and service to sadhus.
Yes.
Are we looking to truly serve that sadhu, or we're trying to take from them for our own pleasure?
Create memories, so I can talk about that in the future. The things that I experienced with this sadhu, the things that this sadhu did for me. Very true.
Yeah. So that was appreciated. And then I have one. All these are recorded. The last one I won't share with anyone because it was more private, with Sadbhuj Prabhu. And Sadbhuj Prabhu is very expert martial artist, but also an expert in team building, something that's been a career of his for more than a decade. He did workshops in Badger as many as 15 years ago. I remember being part of those. And so I had reached out to him. He just couldn't get away. So we did by Zoom a bonding workshop with all the men who could be present. And it was really, really enlivening. So next year, our plan is personalities like him can definitely be there in person, and then it could be even more impactful, and we can have multiple days of workshops like what we did with him.
Nice.
So all of those were really, really enlivening. The first class that Sri Bhagavad Maharaj gave was on how to be a man in Vedic society, and that was super well received. So many people were really appreciating, and the sum and substance, the essence of it, is that he was talking about the number one responsibility of a man in Vedic society is to become Krishna conscious. Become Krishna conscious, realized. This is our number one responsibility. Why does Shastra talk about the husband being like Guru? It's because he takes on responsibility like Guru, because he's behaving like Guru, imbibing the quality of Guru. What is that? That he can actually bring his wife, his children, to Krishna. And how does he do that? He has to become Krishna conscious himself.
He lives it. Yeah. He lives it. It's very common sense, right? I mean, I'm sure it was very deep and very tasteful, hearing it from Maharaj. But it is very much common sense, though. It's
sure.
We have to you have to talk the talk and walk the walk, right? And it's nice to hear people talking about it. And most importantly, for those that are stepping, like myself, I have a wife, I have kids, that are actually in that function now. Think consciously at every single moment what that responsibility means, right? Because I think a lot of times, and of course you and I talk a lot about these things, Nesh, that from different perspectives, right? For you have much more of a philosophical, a deeper understanding that I have of this Bhakti philosophy, being born and having so much association, and for me to not growing up around the devotees like this and making a choice later in life in my adulthood to be part of this society and try to understand. I try to think of, okay, it is not I came to the conclusion, like, it's not a diploma. It's not something that you can say, I got it in 1996 and I'm a devotee, right? It is something that we either are or you are not in the moment. In the moment. That's why I think Bhaktivinoda Thakur has that. I love that poem, but I haven't memorized it yet. I think I need to make an effort to memorize it. But he talks about the past. Don't think about the past, right? Don't care about the future. Everything is in the moment. And he is not the only, he's one of our Vaishnavacharyas that talked about that, but he's not the only thinker that talks about the importance of the present. And I think, certainly, I can speak for myself, I haven't realized, and I'm endeavoring to realize, what does that mean, though? It really means the moment, right now. Am I Krishna consciousness? Yes, but am I being right now? And then when I say right now, using as an example, like you just said, right, what does it mean for a man, right, to be a devotee, right? What's this responsibility of a man in Krishna consciousness, right? Is to be a devotee. And what does that mean? When my kids are having some issues, when I have to, or they are not pleasing me, quote unquote, pleasing me with behavior or whatever, right? In which way am I interacting with them? From what perspective? Under what mode, right? When the wife is upset with me for whatever reason, right? It is my karma that brought that out of her, and I'm experiencing that prarabdha karma, right? That reaction. In which mood am I, quote unquote, reacting to that? I think it has a lot to do with that understanding. It's important to have that understanding when we talk about these things, and I think it's awesome that you guys talked about it. What it means to be a man, right, in Krishna consciousness. That's awesome, dude. What else?
Well, and the thing is that, like, we struggle with this paradigm of having that false ego. And so a lot of men, they're subconsciously, maybe not even like intentionally, but not necessarily a conscious thing, but there's desire for pratishtha, there's desire that the wife should see them as in charge, the senior, to be worshipped, all these things.
Yes.
Right? But that desire is something that has to be overcome. It's not actually grahastha ashram.
I would agree.
Srila Gaura Goswami Maharaj made such a emphasis on what is the difference between grahastha and grihamedi. Is that grahasthas, they're seeing, oh, my wife, she's Krishna Dasi. Not even my wife. This jiva is Krishna Dasi.
Yes.
And then you think this jiva is Krishna Das. This is why there's that pastime where one disciple, follower of Srila Gaura Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj, he comes away from him for some time, and then later he brings back a wife. And he says, oh, Babaji Maharaj, I brought one Krishna Dasi for you. He said, oh, Krishna Dasi? So you'll not enjoy her? She's only for Krishna?
Yes.
And in a way, he wasn't prepared for that.
Yes.
So this is the role. And to be able to like talk about that in a group of men was really productive. Especially, there's men from, just to give you an idea. So there's men from age like 20, 21, all the way into their early 70s at this retreat. Men from half a dozen different country backgrounds. We had a Guru Parampara set up where it was like maybe 8 different initiating spiritual masters, disciples present there. So very big spectrum as well.
Yes.
And then also some people not initiated, and single people, married people, brahmacharis, aspiring to be married, all these different groups.
Yes.
And so it's a large spectrum. So we can come to the core of what is the central role and responsibility that you're in a male body. Doesn't matter all the other things. Being in a male body, what's your duty? To become Krishna conscious.
Yes.
And then whichever path you choose from there, it is taken care of by having that as the center.
True.
And then you can be true grahastha. then you can be true brahmachari, then you can be true sannyasi, then you can be true vanaprasthi. All these things not possible unless the center is becoming Krishna conscious.
Yes,
So,
I love it. Sorry, go ahead. Oh, you're drinking water. Yes, I love it, man. I love it because I love these because it's very practical. You know, it's a very practical conversation, which I love to hear. That the practicality, and then having personalities like the sannyasis, everybody that you had in this retreat, are able to speak in a very practical way and present shastric evidence, right? And you speak of what our acharyas have spoken, established regarding these truths, and that's awesome that you guys were able to talk about that, because it is true. I'm going to touch a little bit on what you said. You see, it's easy for men. I don't remember how you put it, but that desire for pratishtha, right? For men to be in that position of wanting to control the wife or control the husband, control the family, right? And it is something that I've always seen, and even growing up in Brazil, growing up as a Christian, it's something that that's why I'm so thankful for my upbringing. Although I wasn't born a devotee, I didn't grow up around this philosophy, but I'm thankful to my mother and my upbringing, because she was a Christian, right, a good Christian, and there was a mood of service, a mood of surrendering. And my father, although he was not a practicing Christian, I saw that in him. I saw his mood of working to provide to his family. There wasn't too much of mood of controlling his wife. And I can say that in my relationship, it was quite the opposite. My mom was the intelligent one that controlled the husband, and he did everything she recommended, right? And I'm not saying that this is the path. I'm saying that was their dynamic. But one thing that I've always thought about, and I find that Krishna consciousness present that, is part of the philosophy and is in line with what you're saying. And you can, of course, this is a conversation. You tell me, what your realization is, and if you agree or disagree. But is that our position is of das, is servant, period. Mm-hmm. Whatever ashram you are, whatever position you are, one has to consciously, in the moment, take a position of servant, right? Even guru, one that is in a position of guru, he constantly, all the time, sees himself as a servant of his guru, and as such, sometimes he has to be heavy with the children,
and even of his disciples, like Srila Prabhupada, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati.
Yes.
And
sometimes they inflict discipline. I understand that it can be heavy. We see all kinds of examples there. But the mood is what we have to reach for, because the mood will correct the behavior. The behavior might affect the mood, but it's slow pace. I think it's slow coming. If the mood, the desire comes first, the behavior will be more efficiently affected. I'm sorry, you were saying regarding Srila Prabhupada?
Well, yeah, so Srila Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he would call all his disciples Prabhu. He had that mood.
Yes.
That he had that mood that I'm serving them also.
Yes.
That these are not to be enjoyed by me. These are not like disciples that I'm enjoying service from. But I have an opportunity to serve Krishna, and I'm doing that through these personalities that have come to me, that Krishna has sent to me. And yeah, Srila Gauranga Maharaj, she makes a very nice point in regards to the dichotomy of our lineage. When you talked about practicality, this is why Mahaprabhu came. Srila Gauranga Maharaj talks in Banquet of Separation, very beginning.
Yes, I know.
He's saying, Krishna comes, he's saying, Sarva Dharma Pricha Jamame
Krishna said, just surrender to me. Doesn't show how, right?
But then how? How do you surrender?
Yes.
So Mahaprabhu has come. He's given Harinam, 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 Eva Kevalam, Klonasteva, Nasteva, Nasteva, Gatirabita. He's given Sunarapi, Sunichana, Tarorapi,
He's showing
So he's giving the example of how Krishna wants it to be done. Krishna said, surrender unto me. Abandon everything else, surrender unto me. Okay, how? We're a very practical sampradaya, which is why Srila Prabhupada wrote a book like Science of Self-Realization. He didn't call it theology of self-realization. He didn't call it philosophy of self-realization. He called it science of self-realization.
Yes.
Because it's a scientific process. How can one become self-realized? It's laid out very clearly in the Vedic literature. And then we have Chaitanya Mahaprabhu giving the practical example.
Yes.
And so this is why we're following in a lineage. We're following in a sampradaya in order to be able to imbibe the moods.
Yes, I love that. It's perfect, man. It's true. It's true. And this Krishna consciousness have that. This Krishna consciousness philosophy has that. We have to see that I heard a preacher once speaking, and it hit me so hard because I was like, yes, this is factual. I have to be able to see that this Krishna conscious philosophy has the answer to our existence. It has it within itself, in seed form, has everything, solution for every situation. As not only a human being, right? But in a human being, you have the opportunity to realize, to practice. But it has the solution to every problem of every living entity. Even animals can benefit. They eat prasadam, they're benefiting, right? To get to come to a position where they can have the realization, which is a human birth. And that cannot be taken lightly, That cannot be taken lightly.
No.
I was having a conversation with someone the other day, and I know where the person was coming from, and this is not to have a jab at the person. I was appreciating the conversation very much, but we're talking about having conversation with others, and sometimes being put in a coaching position when you're coaching someone, right, and kind of assisting them with whatever problem, and the person is a devotee, and he mentioned something along the lines like, oh, I don't like to get into philosophy when I'm coaching these people, right? And again, as I said, I understand what he's coming from, but I will say that that kind of statement always hits me, rubs me off the wrong way, because I think it's important for us, especially as devotees, people that have, consciously taken to the path of bhakti. It's important for us to understand that Krishna consciousness, that philosophy, first of all, before I say that, I think it's important to understand philosophy is part of life. You cannot avoid but live by a philosophy, right? There's the Stoic philosophy. If you ask a homeless person, I was in Jacksonville the other day. I was kind of taken back. I saw so many homeless, like in the corner. I live here in the countryside, right, in Florida. I went to the city. I saw a bunch of homeless people. And if you ask a homeless person, how is life? How do you live? Oh, I do this, I do that. She lives by a philosophy. That is their philosophy. That is their way of thinking, right? So philosophy is part of life. One cannot avoid but have a way of thinking. So I would say that. And with that understanding, I think that as devotees, it's important for us to develop the faith, the understanding, and backed up by strong faith that Krishna consciousness is the solution, and he has the knowledge to assist anyone at any point. Now, how I'm gonna present it, right, or present it to whoever is making himself or herself available to be assisted in any situation, that is my responsibility, right? That is the responsibility of a preacher. How can I speak to an audience in a way that they will receive it, right? If they are willing to listen. It's just hit me kind of like, as I said, it rubbed me off the wrong way when I heard, like, I try not to get into philosophy, because it's we have to be careful. Otherwise, we're cheating them and we're cheating ourselves.
Well, and this comes to a very important point in regards, one pastime with Srila Rupa Goswami, Srila Jiva Goswami, Srila Sanatana Goswami. And Srila Rupa Goswami, cutting short, but he had rejected Jiva Goswami after some incident with Vallabhacharya. And so Jiva Goswami, he's crying in separation, but not allowed to come back. And Sanatana Goswami, he finds him and brings him back. And he asks Srila Rupa Goswami, what is our duty to the Jivas? Is a Jiva Doi, that we should show compassion to all Jivas. And so Sanatana Goswami says, then what about this Jiva? And so then there's that embrace and reconciliation, both weeping. So there's two things. There's Jiva Doi and there's Jiva Himsa, violence against Jivas. So actually, our acharyas consider it is violence against the Jiva if we know what can actually save the jiva from this material suffering, this samsara, and we don't share it, this is jiva himsa.
Yes.
This is real violence.
Yes.
That we're withholding the information to get them out of this birth-death cycle.
That's heavy. That's heavy, Prabhu. I agree 100%. Yes, that is real violence. That is cheating. That is like you have the means, you have the knowledge to benefit me eternally. And consciously or unconsciously, I would like to believe that most of the time is unconscious, right? For whatever reason, I'm upholding that information and not benefiting. So it is a question of faith. You mentioned Guru Govinda Swami Maharaj. He always says that, faith is the backbone of bhakti, right? Without faith, one cannot practice bhakti. I heard him saying. Because it requires faith. And faith in what? Faith in Guru, faith in Krishna, understanding that understanding the material energy, understanding the interaction between the material energy, who we really are, the material energy, and the nature of Bhagavan. I'm actually going to have a conversation with someone that I respect very much. I'm hoping he will be on the podcast, so I can have a podcast episode with him, where I don't want to mention who it is yet, because I don't know if it's going to happen or not. I'm hoping it will, where I can ask these questions, because I always have this conversation with my father-in-law, and he doesn't consider himself a scholar or anything like that, but and he's been around for a while, right? Srila Prabhupada disciple. He was part of the group that brought Srila Gurudev in the early days, and sharing my realizations. And I think a lot of times there's a lack in the realization of what does it really mean, I'm not this body, right? What does that really mean? Like, because I saw a post, someone posted something on Instagram or Facebook or something, I don't know which one, but he was saying, like, what Gurudev was saying, I want all my disciples to understand that you are not this body. I'm like, why Srila Prabhupada, why Srila Gurudev are putting so much emphasis on this fact? Because I came to understand, and again, I'm not saying I'm right, it's just something that rings true to me, that, I'm not the doer. I'm not the doer. When I'm in the moment experiencing or doing something, that is already old news. Is already old news. What propelled me into that situation, into that moment, it was desire, it's karma, right? The basic idea of karma. But when I'm in the moment, the only choice I have that is mine, that I have total ownership of, is desire. Where do I desire to go now that I'm experiencing this? And a lot of times I act under the illusion, because I think I'm experiencing something that is bringing negative emotion, that is bringing some negative feeling. I immediately jump into action to try to remediate. And the action can be propelled by the mode of goodness, right? Most of the time it's ignorance or passion, but I'm jumping into action, and that is illusion. It has to be based on my understanding of this philosophy. It has to be based, and if one understand what I'm not the doer, I'm not the body means, it will be easy to quote unquote act in the moment from the right perspective, holding on to strong desire. And whatever action comes from it, it will lead you in the direction of what is wanted, right? The reaction, I think, will be like inspired action. When I hear of inspired action, this is what I think about, right? Inspired, it's action that is related, that is strongly connected to desire. So yeah, man, this is awesome.
Well,
I'm glad to hear that you guys talked about all these things. I'm sorry, go ahead.
When we talk about the philosophy of this, we're not this body, a lot of people, they struggle with the extremes. There's so much extremeness about thinking you're the body, like that we're so attached to this conception. It's so hard to completely disconnect from that. But sometimes devotees take it the other extreme, that we're not this body, to the point that the body is neglected.
Yes.
For the body is the vessel that Krishna has given to us in order to serve him in this life.
Yeah.
And so our extreme should be Seva to Guru and Krishna as the center.
Yes.
And seeing how that's facilitated. One time I had a meeting with Srila Bhakti Vigyan Bharati Maharaj. And he instructed me. He said, you should see all Vaishnavas, all persons, how is that person connected to Krishna? Yes. And then you serve accordingly. How are they connected to Krishna? And then you serve accordingly. So at the center, it should be, how does this benefit my seva to Guru and Krishna?
Yes.
And so in order to be able to serve, that the body needs a certain amount of rest, the body needs a certain amount of foodstuffs, the body needs a certain amount of liquids, all these things, medicines, all these things,
yes.
Then we should facilitate accordingly, knowing that we're not this body, but being attached to the service that this body has the capability to render.
Yes.
And so in order to facilitate that service, then we take care of the body to the capacity we need to. But that's a very difficult path to walk.
Yeah.
That's not easy at all.
It is, yeah. It is and it isn't, right? I agree with what you're saying. I'm not disagreeing at all. It is, but I also have to I think I have to accept, and I'm speaking for myself, that it is difficult, but also it isn't. It is a matter of consciousness and relationship and love, right? Guru Govinda Swami Maharaj talks about it. It is a question of love. It is a question of relationship. Because if you have love, if you have affection, you do. You don't question, right? You do. I have love, I have affection for that person. Immediately you go, right? I remember it, my young times dating some girls in Brazil. You go the greatest length to find someone, to meet someone, to do all kinds of things, right? To my wife, trying to impress, oh, she wants this, she likes that. Why? Because there is some relationship established. There's and if I seek to have that established with Guru Krishna, the path, I have to believe that the path it becomes easier and easier. And another, go ahead.
And that's connected to Srila Bhaktivedanta Keshav Maharaj. He writes an article on the seer or to be seen. So are we seeing Guru and Krishna, or are we to be seen by Guru and Krishna?
To be seen.
And he specifically is describing how we come to see Jagannath, but actually we should be coming in front of Jagannath hoping he sees us.
Yes, that's correct.
So but how can we be seen? By our bhajan, by our service. Then we can maybe catch the glimpse out of the corner of the eye of Sri Krishna.
Yes.
And if he glances our direction, then mercy is flowing there, and we'll rapidly become closer to him.
Absolutely.
But it's not that we'll see him. He only reveals himself to Rasik Bhaktas, fully surrendered personalities.
Yeah.
So we have to engage in service to Ragatmika Bhaktas, following the line of Sri Rupa Goswami, Sri Raghunath Das Goswami, and possibly by this cultivation, then we'll get mercy. And then Krishna can reveal himself to us.
Yes. I agree 100%. It makes so much sense to me, though. Yes. And I appreciate, that's why I have so much appreciation. I try to nourish this appreciation to our Vaishnavacharyas. Like true poets, scholars to the highest degree. Sometimes you see people putting some quotes of some Stoics and stuff, and I'm not hating on anyone here. I have appreciation for those quotes. I think they're beneficial. But when you compare these things with what our Vaishnavacharyas have presented, and you make the connection with the knowledge, right, the practical knowledge and how it applies to our lives in the moment, right now, you see wow, their knowledge and what they present is so deep, though. And I appreciate what you just said as far as how do we do it, right? How do we make ourselves seen, right? But our bhajan, by engaging, and bhajan, for those that are listening that are not familiar with it, is just talk a little bit about bhajan, Nesh, your spiritual practice, right? Your service towards Krishna.
So sadhana is a spiritual practice, sadhana.
Yes.
And a lot of times people use the word like bhajan or sadhana kind of almost interchangeably. But the idea is that this one-pointed, exclusive devotion unto the object of your affection is spontaneously coming. That is called rag. And so the idea is we're cultivating something with a daily spiritual practice, which is called vaidhi, in order that eventually a spontaneous hankering is coming automatically.
Yes.
But until that's there, we have a regulation in place to take the mind under the control of who we really are, you, the jiva.
Yes.
Because the mind wants to do all its own things. The mind is just trying to please itself, please the body, trying to arrange facility where you have comfort. But growth comes from discomfort. So we have to wrangle the mind. We have to beat the mind, Bhaktivinoda Thakur would say.
Yes.
So you beat the mind in the morning. And so a part of our practice, we have our japa beads. We're chanting every day.
Yes.
Srila Prabhupada set minimum standard 16 rounds.
Yes.
And then also if you have second initiation, chanting morning, midday, evening on your called Anik, your Gayatri mantras. And then also study and service is part of sadhana practice. That Srila Prabhupada would recommend priority, that your health comes first, then your japa, then service, then reading. But reading is on that list, that we should daily also study our acharya's books. And in this way, gradually some cultivation is occurring.
Yes, agreed 100%. And I want to take a little, not deeper, but try to stay on the practicality of it, right? Because this is my understanding, though. Why all these practices are there, right? Why are everything you just mentioned, right? The chanting of the beads, like the chanting on your beads, if you have second initiation, which is diksha initiation, the chanting your anik, your Gayatri mantras, eating prasadam, associating with devotees. It can be said that it's for purification, right? So you can purify what? Our existence, but purify our consciousness, right? Purify our consciousness so we can have a connection of the mind and heart with the teachings of our acharyas, with the teachings of our Gurudev. And this is the thing that I think is an important point, not to make, but is an important point, a junction that we need to get to. And when we get into that junction is when powerful momentum can take place. And what do I mean by that? Once we follow everything you're saying, we follow, because those are the recommendations and in a lot of ways orders of our acharyas and spiritual masters, right? As far as engaging in that practice for the purpose of purification, right? I'm not saying it's the only purpose. I'm just sharing my understanding of purification. So what? So in the moment, as I'm experiencing my life, I'm experiencing my karma. We're talking about the responsibility of a man in Krishna consciousness, right? In the moment, as I'm living my life as a husband, trying to serve my wife, right? In a capacity of a husband, to serve my kids in a capacity of a father, right? To 2 little girls. In the moment, that practice can help me, can purify my consciousness so I can see what is to be done, that can connect me with Guru Krishna, that can connect me with who I really am, that can keep enhancing the momentum and taking me in the direction of what I want, in the direction of I really am, which is Krishna Das, right? A servant of Krishna, part and parcel of the Supreme Source, part and parcel of Krishna. And why I'm saying that, hopefully I'm not being too convoluted. I want you to elaborate on it a little bit, Nesh, because I think you understand what I'm saying. And why I'm saying that, because a lot of times in my short experience here, we hear things like this from someone sitting on the Vyasasana, right? Vyasasana is the seat of the Guru, right? That person that sits on an elevated seat and is speaking, on the scriptures. So a person that is speaking and saying these things and, has a good mind for memorizing slokas and speaking things, they're speaking nice things. But then come Monday morning, come Tuesday morning, if you have a kind of a more personal relationship with that person, you start seeing that, and that is not really in line his behavior, her behavior is not in line with what he or she was so eloquently. Is that a word? Eloquently? Is that a word? Sometimes I
Yeah.
make up words with my Brazilianness. But it's not in line with what they were presenting. Now, I understand someone might say, yes, because it's a practice, we are not perfect. I understand that. We are all trying. We're all trying, right?
Mhm.
I understand that we have to have that understanding. See that everybody's trying their best. But I'm speaking for myself is important, especially if I'm putting myself, or if I'm choosing, desiring to put myself in a position of instructor, right? Giving instruction, speaking of these things. How much am I carrying it with me in the moment? Not yesterday when I gave Srimad Bhagavatam class, not tomorrow when I'm scheduled to deliver a talk, at someone's house, but right now, in the moment, when my wife comes home frustrated because she had a negative experience at work. What am I prepared to do? What am I prepared to act on? And in under what influence am I acting on in the moment that will lead me towards what I want? Does that make sense, Nash?
Yeah.
And a lot of
Yeah.
times there's a disconnect. There's a disconnect, and that comes, in my experience, it becomes dogmatic. I've saw that in church so much in Christianity. The guy walks around, his Bible is attached to his armpit, right? They are in church speaking in tongues, like they are touched by the Holy Ghost. But then come Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and these are people that I knew, that we lived like in the same block. And I'm, even as a 16, 17-year-old boy, I was like, what's up here? You know what I'm saying? I couldn't elaborate on it, and I didn't have the understanding I have today. But you clearly see the gap. And I've seen this in my experience in the past years. And again, I understand we are all trying to do our best. But it's refreshing to see a preacher, someone that understands that and is consciously open its heart and understanding and preaching and living from that perspective, right? That is what what I understand to be not being duplicitous. Because otherwise, it's duplicity. You're being duplicitous. That's one of the understandings I have as far as our Vaishnavacharya is talking about not being duplicitous. Sorry, Nash, go ahead.
There's a couple of things there for sure. It's actually connecting back. You said a friend, maybe half an hour ago, you were mentioning they didn't want to speak philosophy to someone.
Yes.
So there's a couple of things to unpack there. One is we talked about Jiva Himsa, that true compassion is to share what you know with the Jiva. However, if it's dry and theoretical, it's not realized, then you're preaching to a wall. Because you can't capture and affect their heart.
There's no
You're just regurgitating theoretical knowledge without spiritual realization and spiritual practice. Then there's no potency, like you say.
Yes.
So we should speak from where we're at. This is why our pastime is there of Param Gurudev Srila Bhakti Pragan Maharaj. One Vaishnavi brought her child and said, "Oh, Guru Maharaj, can you tell him to stop eating sweets?" And he said, "You bring him back next week."
Yes.
And then next week brings him back, and he says, "Okay, no more sweets." And she said, "Guru Maharaj, why we had to wait? You couldn't tell last week?" He said, myself, I was also eating sweets. So I had to give up sweets before I could give the instruction."
Yes, I love that.
So that is there also. Very important. And then you're talking, what was the last point you made? Remind me at the very end.
Basically, it's kind of like when
Duplicity.
Yes.
Yeah. So Srila Gauranga Maharaj makes a very important point regarding this topic. He says that simplicity is Vaishnavism. And he's quoting Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur.
Yeah.
Simplicity is Vaishnavism. So what does that mean, simplicity is Vaishnavism? That means that we're like a child when we come before the sadhu. That we're filled with wonder and curiosity and no selfish motivation. That we're just coming, oh, this is so amazing. We should have like that. That our chamber pot, the pot that in our heart, that we're coming to receive information is not filled with all these other things. So we actually have an empty, open receptacle to absorb and imbibe the mood of that personality. Then this is simplicity. And the example is given of Ravan. Ravan, he had so much blessing from Lord Shiva to become so powerful. And Ravan also wrote his own scripture, big, fat scripture. Very knowledgeable, very exalted, realized personality. But he was a demon. And he comes to Lord Shiva and he gets all these blessings for demoniac activities. But what happened? Lord Shiva is original form Gopeshwar Mahadev. His seva is to give entrance to Rasalila. So Ravan could have that. But because he had duplicitous mood, I'm coming, let me see what I can take from Shiva in order to further my own position. This is duplicity and he gets cheated. But if you're simple, then you get mercy. And so if someone is going to behave very duplicitously and then also want to speak, they won't hold any potency. They won't have any effect. And they won't be able to influence the hearts of anyone. And so our action, our activity should be in line with the philosophy that we're speaking. Otherwise, we shouldn't hold the post of being a speaker. Now, very, very important. Then we're looking at, so we have to become perfect before we can preach? No. Our service is also to preach. So we speak from a platform of what we've understood, repeat the words of the acharyas. This is why Prabhupada had said, I'm like a mailman, right? I'm delivering the letter of my Guru Maharaj. It's not that we take the letter from the previous acharyas, we open it up and we make an adjustment. And then we deliver it after we reseal. No, we deliver that message completely untouched. This is why Prabhupada had his Gita says, as it is. Meaning Krishna's teachings, not the author's own speculation. I was having a discussion with devotees very recently, how in Paramahamsa Yogananda's Bhagavad Gita, in his purport to Sarvadharma Parityajya, he's saying Krishna is speaking on behalf of the Great Spirit, that you should surrender to the all-pervading Brahman.
I know, man.
So this is his own speculation that he is applying according to his path and realization. Yes. But Prabhupada's making the point, my Gita is as it is. As Krishna spoke. And so this is our service. If our actions cannot measure up to the standard, then we shouldn't speak on such high-level topics. We take ourselves down one or two notches, make sure that we're always endeavoring. Yeah. Srila Gurudev made the point to try is bhakti. Yeah. So we don't give up endeavor. We don't be duplicitous. We don't hide that we're struggling. And we preach the pure message of the Sampradaya without any adulteration according to our own whimsical judgments.
Yes.
And then want to be in the right position.
Yes, I agree with everything. And I would like to, I want to elaborate on something, because everything you said, I agree 100%. And I would say that we have to keep going deeper, though, just to peel up, like to try to get up, okay, even deeper and deeper, so we can get in our understanding, right? So do I have to be perfect? No, but I'm glad you said it. Endeavor. I have to constantly endeavor, and in the endeavor I put in yesterday, or the endeavor that I'm planning on making on Monday, does not count. It's right now, in the moment.
And that's part of the 10 offenses to the holy name, is to do sinful activity on the strength of your bhajan, exactly. Of your chanting of Harinam.
Exactly.
So we shouldn't. Yesterday I chanted 1 lakh. Today I'm going to the movies.
Exactly.
It shouldn't be that mentality.
Yes.
But every day there's
subtle it can be, though. You see how subtle it can be. That's what I'm saying. And I'm speaking to myself. Like every time I even have this conversation with my father-in-law, I put a mirror right in front of me, right? A visual mental mirror. I'm speaking to myself. But like, how honest am I being, right? How with myself in my practice, like what is my real endeavor, right? And then I have to be honest and try to relax. Like you're endeavoring, you're doing your best. Krishna is in control. You are endeavoring to do what? To surrender to the instructions. You're doing. Why do I chant? Not because I want to chant 16 rounds. I want to be able to say I chant 16 rounds. No. I chant because this sadhu told me to chant. he said, he chanted around, one mantra in my beat, and he said, Hare Krishna, you chant here. It's like, yes. So he told me, you chant Hare Krishna. We do to please Guru.
About surrender.
Yes, we do to please Guru. That's the only motivation, to please Guru Krishna, to serve Guru Krishna. So that's one thing. Another thing that you mentioned I thought was very nice, and I love like getting deeper into it, which is the understanding of like duplicity, right? What does that mean to be duplicitous and be transparent? I had this conversation with a devotee, which now it felt like yesterday, but now I realize it's been more than a year. But a while ago, I had this conversation where when people, it's like, oh, we shouldn't be duplicitous, we should talk and stuff. I was like, yes, but what does that mean though? What does that mean to open your heart? You have to open your heart to those that are in position to assist you, to those that have the potency to assist you from moving from that, from whatever you're struggling with. Otherwise, you're only going to be giving more momentum to what you're trying to give up. That's why joke and humor is a terrible enemy when it comes to that. Because I'm lighthearted about things. I make jokes about things that are unwanted in my life, that are unwanted in my spiritual practice. And I talk out loud, jokingly, right? Sometimes we say things right after experiencing, very nice experience with Guru, with Sadhu, with other devotees. We say things out loud that it's clearly unwanted. It's clearly something that you know is not favorable to your spiritual advancement. But because there's no real understanding, because I have no real understanding of basic philosophical truths, in the moment I don't act in a way that will benefit me. The way I always talk to my father-in-law, there are many faults. I have many faults. And what does that mean to don't have duplicitous? When you come to a Vaishnava, when you come to someone that has spiritual potency, that you believe this person has the potency, right? He has gotten Guru's grace. He has gotten Krishna's grace. He or she can help me advance. Then I should open my heart, speak of my faults. I always joke with my father-in-law, I open my closet, right? People talk about in English, right? They say the skeleton in the closet, right? I open my closet and I present to this personality. Please help me, right? I have this here that I'm attached to. I cannot let go. And they can see, because you're not being duplicitous. That is called being no duplicity. I'm presenting as it is. Please assist me. And once that is done, put back in the closet and close it. Don't talk about it. Don't. And I think that the duplicitous thing is misunderstood, or I was misunderstanding a lot, because I was talking about thinking like, oh, duplicitous mean put it out there, and that is not what it is. Because by putting it out there, you're actually giving more momentum to it. By speaking about what is not wanted openly like this to those that may or may not be prepared to assist you with slowing down the momentum of that, whatever that is. And we're talking about unwanted things that are not favorable to your spiritual advancement. You are actually enhancing the momentum by doing that. And when I believe that when our acharyas speak about duplicity, don't be duplicitous, means when engaging, in general, right? Don't be duplicity. That, I think that is understood by everybody, but especially when in front of a Vaishnava, when we are talking to someone and we have something that we know we hold on close to our hearts, but we know it's not, there's some attachment there. That's what I mean, right? And we know it's not favorable to our spiritual advancement. I don't put it out there. It's my skeleton in the closet. I open the closet, I present to this personality, and I beg, please assist me, please help me. You have the potency, right? Guru, we pray every single morning, Sakshat Hari, the same as Hari, the same potency as Hari. They can help, right? They can assist me. But once that is done, I'm putting back in the closet, not to tend to it, not to care for it, but to forget about it. And eventually I have the faith that when I open that closet, I will see dust. I will see instead of seeing the skeleton, I will see ashes. It will be burnt. There will be remnants of it. And then eventually, in a very spiritual advanced position that I'm hoping to get to, I won't even see the remnants of it. It will be a distant like memory, right? I heard a Vaishnava talking about the experience of Vaishnavas here in this world, right? A Madhyam Vaishnav, because Uttama cannot relate. Uttama is an advanced devotee of God, right? He cannot relate with the jivas because he sees everybody. He sees absolute. Sees everybody already engaged in Krishna service in one way or another, engaged with Krishna's energies. That personality sometimes have to come down to a lower level, which is in Sanskrit is called madhyam, right, Nash? Madhyam level. It's an intermediate level, so they can relate to the jivas and see and be able to make distinguish, to distinguish, right? So that he can instruct and help them. So one might say like, oh, is he experiencing it? Someone gave an example and I really like it. Yes, they are experiencing it. They see the snake, right? But on one level, they see the snake and they are getting bitten also. But for them, the snake there's no teeth. There's no venom. They just experience. So they can see the snake, they perceive everything we perceive, but there's no effect in them. While with me, there's everything, right? I'm feeling the venom, I'm feeling the bite, I'm feeling the illness, I'm almost dying from it because I'm not properly situated. Anyways, I'm sorry, I go into these rants, but does that make sense what I'm saying, Ash?
No, definitely makes sense. Very important. A couple things, actually, thinking how our scriptures describe that we should have confidential exchanges with loving guardians.
Yes.
So even like our scriptures describe who is Shiksha Guru, instructing spiritual teacher, who's that guide, there's 3 minimum qualifications that they should have. One is that they're senior to you. So first off, the way we have to understand, they have to have seniority, not just from like age or something like that, but they have to have more advanced spiritual realization than you. Then they also need to be in the same lineage as you. So they have to be in the line of the same mood as you. And third one, very important, snigdha, which means affection. They should have affection for you, right? Seniors should have
affection. I like talking to you, bro.
Seniors should have affection for juniors, and juniors should have respect for seniors. And then in confidence, these loving exchanges. No. In confidence, these loving exchanges can occur where you express your heart. But it shouldn't be that we wear a tag, a sign on our back. I like pornography, or I like smoking cigarettes, or I like eating eggs, or whatever. We shouldn't be like advertising like that to the world. One reason also, it's not that the Vaishnav is keeping secrets from the public, right? But we are not independent.
Yes.
We are Das. Yes. So who Narasimha Das, Chaitanya Das. So you're the servant of your Gurudev. Wherever you go, you're like walking billboard representing your Gurudev.
Yes.
So it's not that we're advertising all our fallen qualities, but we should be broadcasting the message of Sri Guru in every place we go. And then we go to Sri Guru and we're saying, I'm trying to spread all this message and mood of your teachings, but I'm feeling some inability to properly express because I have these struggles. Please cleanse my heart of these struggles so I can properly represent you. This is the dynamic. This is our service.
Boom. Drop the mic, dude. I love it. I love it. Yes, that is the truth. And I again, right, trying to peel up a little, going a little deeper for the sake of understanding, because I like to have these conversations to make it very practical, right? And why also one does not advertise, one does not speak of these things. Because if one has the understanding, I shouldn't say you, right? I should say I. If I have the understanding of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he says in Chaitanya Charitamrita, excuse me, I think it's Madhyam Lila, he says, Krishna has natural 3 energetic manifestations, right? The Maya Shakti, the internal manifestation, the external Maya Shakti, the marginal Jiva Shakti, you and I, living entities, right? Who we really are, animals, everything, consciousness, right? And then it has the internal Shakti, right? The spiritual world, right? Swarup Shakti, so many names, right? We hear about these three main potencies. So if I understand the nature of these three different energies, it will be an easier path. And that's why Guru comes with the torch, like with knowledge, right? They come with knowledge, and they come with that torch, that light that lights up the path, and it makes easy for me to walk, because I can see the steps now. That is the knowledge that Guru, that Vaishnava Guru and our Vaishnavacharyas, they come to give. Because if I understand the nature of this material world, and that was a huge one for me, because I was like, this is a fact. Krishna, God, it's all good. He's all good. He doesn't withhold. He gives. He gives what? Whatever your heart desire is. This material manifestation is evidence of his mercy. The jiva wanted to enjoy separate from him. The jiva wanted to be the center of its own existence. So here we go, a plane of existence where you will be the center of your existence. Whatever you hold within your consciousness, within your, what is conscious? Desire, right? Your thought, your desire, whatever you hold within your heart, in the moment, this material energy will reciprocate with and will bring towards you. Krishna, another name for Krishna, it's attractive, right? Krishna is the all attractive one. We have that quality. We have that in minute form within us. By holding on to thought and holding on things within my consciousness, I'm attracting things into my life. And that is a pervasive truth. If I hold on the idea that I'm Das, the idea that I wanted to serve Srila Gurudev, I wanted to serve Vaishnavas. I asked another Vaishnava that you and I know. I'm blessed enough to have communication with him in WhatsApp, so he's kind enough to engage with me and answer. I simply asked, I can even read here to you, just so if you don't mind, I'm going to pull up right now. And that was awesome for me to hear, because I'm like, yes, this is Krishna consciousness. This is the practicality of this philosophy. I asked him this regarding Maya and material energy, right? So we understand it, so we can act based on proper knowledge, right? I said, Hare Krishna Prabhu, blah, blah, blah. I want to ask you, hold on. I have a few questions. That's not the one I was looking for. I apologize. Basically, the question was, sorry, hang with me there, whoever's listening. Sorry, okay, here we go. I was like, I have a question, Prabhu. Can the neophyte devotee, a neophyte means a new devotee, right? Someone like me that comes to Krishna consciousness, is trying to understand, is trying to develop some faith, is trying to chant, listen, hear what Vaishnavacharyas, what Srila Prabhupada or Gurudev have presented, but doesn't have deep philosophical understanding. I'm a neophyte. I struggle with the practice, right? There's no, anyways, a new devotee. While endeavoring to take shelter of Guru Krishna, can a neophyte devotee see the Yoga Maya feature on Maya Devi acting, quote unquote, acting in his or her life, so he or she can more easily surrender and don't push against whatever, quote unquote, negative situation they are facing in life? He just sent the question, and I know if he had something to say about this, he would elaborate more. He just said yes. And I know it means like, yes, this is proper conclusion. And what does that mean? If I understand the nature of this material world, which is what? It is giving. It is motion forward. So whatever I choose as independent, quote unquote, independent jiva, I choose to give my attention to. Maya Devi, two aspects of Maya, right? The energy of Krishna, one of the three natural manifestations. Two aspects: Yoga Maya, Mahamaya. Yoga Maya, the spiritual aspect that is arranging everything for Krishna's pleasure in a spiritual sense. Then you have Mahamaya, which is the energy of, a lot of people like to say, oh, Maya is illusion, right? That means what? That wants to keep the jiva under that illusion that you are the center of your own existence, right? That is Maya. If someone wants to enjoy Maya, go to the universe. You hear a lot of these talks right now. People saying like, oh, ask the universe how to do this. Surrender to the universe. I don't know how.
Or I'm listening to my heart wherever I feel inside.
Yes.
But a lot of times it's our mind or intelligence or ego speaking.
It is bogus. As devotees, we have to be careful because you do not want to surrender to the universe, because the universe will make arrangements for you to stay here. Do you want to be? Our acharyas give the example, of a prison, right? You want to? What's the advantage of being in prison if you have nice bed, have a TV, but you're still in prison? You want to be free. You don't want to be in prison. So my point is, if we understand the nature of this material world, that is all given, whatever I give my attention to, this material world will say more, more, more. If I push against, this Nash it was rude to me. I don't know why he said something like this. And I hold some feeling, that negative emotion that I experience, and I hold on to that negative emotion. Material nature is design, right? We are Shakti. Material nature is Shakti, energy. If I hold on as Shakti, if I hold on to that thought, right, to that frequency, that negative thought, material nature will vibrate in the same ratio and will send me more of it. But if in the moment I surrender thinking like, Hare Krishna, he might be going through something that I'm not aware of, right? Actually, the truth is that he's being forced, due to his karma and my karma, he's being forced to act the way he acts. I need to pray for him and for me, so Guru will help us make advancement. Guru will help us serve, Srila Prabhupada, serve Srila Gurudev properly so we can help each other. Bless him. And I move away from that negative emotion that I felt due to that situation with you. That is proper intelligence. That is me. As you said, right? We are under. We are a Shakti. Jiva is marginal potency. It's always under a Shakti. Always. It's like the marginal, the banks of a river. It's always wet or dry. It's both. It cannot be separate from that, right? It's always under an energy. In the moment, not yesterday when I gave Bhagavatam class or next week when I'm planning to speak, right? In the moment, as I'm experiencing those feelings, I have to make the choice. That's why the present is so, everything lives in the moment. I have to make that choice and surrender based in knowledge, understanding that if I give it my attention, material nature will send more of it. Will give me more evidence of what I'm giving my attention to. But if I surrender and I give my attention from the proper perspective, from the knowledge given from our Gurudev, from Acharyas, I will move away from it in the direction of what I want. Does that make sense what I'm saying, Ash?
Yeah, absolutely. Which is why we're prescribed the medicine of daily Harinam.
Yes.
Because we can focus our attention in a place that's building favorable impressions, not on the physical material body, which is, earth, water, fire, air, ether, not on the subtle body, which is mind, intelligence, ego, not even on chitta, the consciousness, but actually on who you are, jiva. And these spiritual impressions that are accrued, this sukriti, this pious credits that are accrued for us, they're never lost.
Yes.
And so we end up in a position where we can keep picking up life after life and make gradual progress because we're making this lasting impact by doing our daily practice, spiritual practice.
Yes.
Chief amongst that is Shravanam, Kirtanam, and Vishnu Smaranam. Right? That hearing, chanting, and remembering the Lord.
Yes.
These two are essential. And
again,
this happens in interactions like this. We talked a lot about sadhu sangha. We talked a lot about associating with seniors, guardians, but also amongst peers.
Yes.
That it shouldn't be, I'm holding out. I won't speak or associate with any Vaishnavas until I meet a pure devotee.
No.
It's not like that.
No, it's not like
that. But we take the relationships according to like-minded Vaishnav sangha, where we can find materialistic qualities that we're comfortable around, that are also sadhus, that are also Vaishnav, then we build our circle. We build relationship. We share. What is Ishta Goshti? Is that we're coming together to speak about our Ishta Dev, our
Lord.
our goal, our parojan, is we're seeking after becoming maidservants of Srimati Radhika, or some persons also being a coward boy, or still serving as Vatsalya Bhav, like Mother Yashoda. So these three primary are present in Golok Vrindavan, and so we take the sangha of those Vaishnavas that are having like-minded mood and having a like-minded endeavor. And then, of course, everything is revealed openly to the pure devotees. But it doesn't mean that we hold out and we don't take any relationship, any sangha, don't talk to anyone until we find pure devotee.
No.
But this interaction we're having here is to our benefit as well, because we're able to relish and express our realizations, hear from each other, and it helps strengthen our nishtha. It helps strengthen our shraddha, that our shraddha becoming nishtha, that our faith becomes more firmly fixed. Because Gurudev would say Guru Nishtha is the backbone of bhakti.
Yes.
And having discussions amongst God family helps strengthen faith in Guru.
And Guru, yes. That's a very important point there. That yes, absolutely, these interactions are so important, but we try to be properly situated, right? We're not talking based on our knowledge, our experience, is what we have understood from Guru, from Vaishnava. Not even what, I mean, it is what we have understood, but it is just what we are trying to understand. We are trying to accept and understand what we have received from our Gurudev, from our Guru Parampara. And yes, these conversations are, because it's practical though. It is very practical. Now when I go, when my wife comes home from work, when I'm dealing with my kids, those are the moments that I have to think about all these things. Right? What am I going to say? What am I speaking of? What am I giving my attention to? How am I dealing with my anarthas? Am I giving, anarthas means are faults, right? Faults that you have accumulated through lifetimes. How am I dealing with it? Am I making light joke and mentioning it out loud, or I'm seriously taking it? No, as I say, like jokingly to my father-in-law, I leave it in the closet. It's my skeleton in the closet. And I'm not duplicitous. Why? Because I presented to Guru Vaishnavas, and when I say even like present to Guru, I don't mean in prayer to Gurudev. It's to a Vaishnava in physical body. I can have a conversation and say, Maharaj, Mataji, whoever that senior, as you put it, right, that person that is senior to you, that you believe has some strong Guru Nishtha, that can help you with that anartha, with that fault. But I'm not going to give you my attention. I'm not going to try to address it with my own strength, because that is illusion. To think, oh, I'm going to take care of that. You're not the doer. You cannot do anything. We're so infinitesimally, like it's small, so small in comparison to this material energy. We're swallowed by it. We're swallowed by it. But what can make a huge difference? Just a change of mental attitude. That change of mental attitude, that yes, although I'm small, although I cannot do anything to push against it and effectively move towards what I want, I can properly, based on what is mine, my property, which is my desire, is righteously mine, which is what I desire, I can desire to place myself under Guru's guidance. And then yes, that change of mentality, Maya Devi's feature change, and Yoga Maya takes like, oh, he wants to serve, he wants to surrender, so here he goes, he sends more. I always joke with my father-in-law, the mantra, the quote-unquote mantra of this universe is more of what? Whatever you have your attention on. You have your attention on, oh, I want to, I'm having this trouble with this in my family life. We're talking about being men, right? Someone that wants to be a man, wants to be a grihasta, wants to have a wife and kids. You might think, oh, I'm having you'll see that a lot sometimes. It's easy for the men to blame the women, right? Oh, the women's like this, I'm having issue, I'm having this, I'm having that. I can speak for myself. And it is something that I can see that is like, no, by Gurudev's mercy, it have changed in me. Like, there's nothing to blame. I have to strongly move towards what I want and serve. Because if I try to blame and based on that thought, try to act and try to correct, I'm under illusion. I'm not properly situated. But if I accept and then in the moment I move towards what I want. In the moment, through the power of desire, through the power of the mind, I, under guidance, move towards what I want. And what is wanted in that situation? A good relationship. A relationship where we can thrive as partners. A relationship where we can thrive as servants of Sri Guru. A relationship where we can thrive as husband and wife, as father and mother, right? In the moment, as I hold on to those thoughts, inspired action will gain momentum, right? The thought will come. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, He's the one that gives forgetfulness and remembrance, right? As I hold on to that desire, in the moment, Krishna will give thought. Krishna will give inspiration, right? Gurudev we have surrendered to Guru, so we have to believe Guru will give inspiration. Then that action is inspired action, and I will not push against and be under the illusion that I have to do something to control the situation, to move away from what I don't want. But it's such a subtle, and it is an art, though. It is an art to engage in relationships, whatever the relationship may be, right? Friendship, husband and wife, father and daughter, father and son, whatever the friendship, whatever the relationship is, it is truly an art to engage with that mental attitude. And let it gain momentum, let it gain momentum to where you get to a point that is another realization I have. Like, momentum is a real thing, not only in the physical plane, but also in the subtle spiritual realm. And you cannot get there from there, right? You cannot get there. I cannot get there to Vrindavan from there by thinking about it there. I can only get there from where I'm at. And where am I right now? Here, Chaitanya Das, trying to understand these truths, trying to serve Srila Gurudev. Yes, the goal is there. That is what I have set. That's what Gurudev put in my GPS, right? There is where it's set. There is where I need to go. But I need to go through the proper path, take the right turns to get there. I cannot instantly get there from there. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's awesome, dude.
And that's why we did a men's retreat, so we could have people come together and be able to share experiences and bond, and we got a lot of positive result from it.
I know. I imagine. I'm happy. I can see that you're. Every time I talk to you, unfortunately, I couldn't go. I have so many things going on in my life. It is something that I I plan on, developing a strong desire to participate in the future. But I saw that you're very enlivened by the thought.
And now I can announce we're also doing a big festival at the end of July 26th through April 2nd. July 26th through August 2nd. It is going to be Bhagavad Saptaha with Sripad Bhaktivedanta Siddhanti Maharaj. That is announced officially. I have the location reserved, and I'm collecting reservations, RSVPs for people.
Nice. So, and that means 7 days of Srimad Bhagavatam.
7 days of Srimad Bhagavatam.
Spoken by
Sripad Bhaktivedanta Siddhanti Maharaj.
Yes, by a sannyasama that has some realization, deep realization in this path of Krishna consciousness, serving Srila Gurudev, serving Srila Prabhupada. That's awesome, man. It's awesome, Nash. I love having these conversations. We've been talking for an hour and a half. You're probably busy. You're on the road, have a lot of things to do. Thank you very much for making the time and sitting with me.
Absolutely.
I hope you continue engaging yourself in that kind of service. I think it is your nature to organize and do these things, getting the devotees together. And by doing that service, I have no doubt you will continue to, go deeper and deeper in your understanding and relationship with Guru Krishna.
Jai, by your mercy.
Bro. Yes, by their mercy. By Srila Prabhupada, Srila Guru's mercy. All right, Nash, I'm going to let you go. Thank you very much. I'll keep in touch. We'll keep talking. And then next time you tell me where you are.
Sounds good.
All right. Hare Krishna. All right, guys. Nrsimha Das. Nash. Appreciate Nash. Thank you very much for listening, y'all. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. You can also check us out on Spotify and all the other podcast platforms out there. If you're watching this on YouTube, thank you very much for your time and attention. I appreciate you. If you're still listening, if you already left and you're listening to this sometime later, I appreciate you for sticking with us for as long as you did. And I hope to have more of these conversations and talk to you guys in the next one. As always, chant Hare Krishna and be happy. Hare Krishna.